Hey guys, it is Julie here with JT.Wealth. Today we are chatting about Nordic American tankers and two pieces of news that they had come out today. So let's get into it. Okay, so Nordic American Tanker did have their earnings report earlier this week, and we are going to touch on that and how the market reacted, but we are also going to discuss a couple new announcements that they made today and how that has us looking towards the future. Before we dive into all that, this is just your reminder to make sure that you are subscribed to our channel. Getting so close to that 4,000 mark, guys, and I want it. Make sure you hit that like button too, and let's go. So this Monday on August 17th, NAT released their Q2 earnings report and they killed it. They beat both of their expectations in EPS and revenue. They shared these charts here with us showing their net income and that gorgeous increase, plus their dividend increase as well. And for the highlights, we saw that their net income for Q2 came in at $49.1 million, which was a 24% improvement from the previous quarter of $39.5 million. They highlighted how their cash dividends are a priority and how on May 20th, they announced their 92nd consecutive quarterly dividend. The average time charter equivalent for their 23 Suezmax tankers for Q2 was $48,400 per day per ship. Keep in mind those operating expenses are about $8,000 per day. That beat the previous quarter, which was at $44,100, and smashed the previous year's quarter at $31,700. We have a healthy cash balance sitting there at $144 million, and their total long-term liabilities standing about $318 million, which was a reduction of more than $110 million since the year end of 2018. But shortly after reporting this massive growth for the company, their stock price dropped from about 4.6 down to 4.29 at the time of me filming this. So what happened that caused this great earnings report to not increase the price? In my opinion, it was a lack of a solid, defined forward outlook. So in our strategy going forward, NAT provided us a bit of fluff, to be honest, in my opinion. So unlike other tanker companies we saw who previously reported their earnings and showed us their next quarter's dividend and how much of their Q3 they've booked and at what rates, NAT didn't really provide us a strong foothold for what to expect in the future. Well, NAT today put out a press release that I'm hoping is going to address some of these concerns. So they announced this telephone conference for shareholders/investors for next Wednesday, August 26th. Of course, everyone is awaiting the agenda and details for what this call will be about, but I'm definitely hoping they're going to hint at some of those Q3 booking rates and a continuation or increase of their dividend. But that's not all, folks. We had a second press release from NAT today. And that was the purchase of shares by the NAT Director of the Board, Alexander Hansen, the son of NAT CEO and Chairman. So Alexander purchased 55,000 shares in NAT today at $4.34 per share. So this equates to just shy of $240,000 investment into the stock. Now, if you remember back in June, Alexander made a similar purchase around 50,000 shares of the NAT stock at a slightly lower price. So in total, Mr. Alexander Hansen has increased his position in NAT by about 105,000 shares for a total of $444,200, give or take. So if these were the only shares that Alexander held, which we know they aren't, but his guaranteed dividend coming up in September would be a nice $21,000 guaranteed. So I look at this a couple different ways. Either he is just buying these and getting that guaranteed dividend return, or he's also confident in the future of this company, plus getting that guaranteed dividend. On a side note, after Alexander's last purchase of stocks back in June, we saw a purchase by his father, the CEO, just a couple days later. So who knows, this week we might see history kind of repeat itself and his father follow suit and pick up some more NAT stocks as well. We also saw an article today from Forbes about Nordic American tankers creating economic value and returning it to shareholders. This article covers a lot of great different points. I would recommend that you check it out. Everything from how this has been a really unique year, but also how it is a great time to be owning oil tankers. One quote from NAT's CEO was his quote that the ordering activity for new ships is muted and the order book in percent of the existing tanker fleet has not been lower in decades. This is one of the main reasons for the good tanker market we've seen this year and for our long-term optimism. So they came out with fantastic earnings for their Q2, yet their stock price went down. And I think I can kind of understand why, but I'm hoping that on Wednesday we have that investor conference call and they can provide some positive insight and future outlook as to what we can expect, whether that is an increase or just announcement of their next dividend, or insight to those Q3 bookings and what rates those were at. So hopefully this call on Wednesday helps instill some confidence in us for that future outlook of NAT in the long term, similar to what Alexander has shown us with his share purchase. What do you think about all this? Is NAT going to be a solid play in the long term, or why has the price reacted this way after such a solid Q2 earnings? Please leave a comment down below. I always love hearing from you guys and what your thoughts on this is. If you made it this far, make sure that you hit that like button and double check that you are subscribed. Thank you so much for watching and have an awesome night. Cheers.